This is another Big Brother 27 live feed update. Comment, like, share, and subscribe. Get me to 1,000 subs. All right, in this Big Brother 27 live feed update, I'm going to talk about Mickey's powers, or power, being exposed. Lauren and Kat finally having some game talk about who they want to vote out. Zach and Vince desperately trying to prevent another guy from going home, and Rachel trying to do the exact opposite, push for her guaranteed vote secret accomplice to stay in the house. And unfortunately, despite all of the moving pieces going on, I think it's just going to go back to Rachel getting what she wants, because what Rachel wants is what production wants. Anyway, let me start off with Mickey and her power getting exposed. As we know, she has this power to pretty much hijack an HOH, and the HOH can unseat that power if during their 3-minute interrogation they find out who actually has the power. And it appears now Mickey would be found out if she used the power. Now, firstly, we know she told Morgan. And we know Ashley overheard her tell Morgan. And Ashley told Amy. Zach apparently figured it out on his own because he was next to her. So, that's the first person that I actually heard on the live feeds say that he thought Mickey had it. And then Will recently had a conversation, basically saying that, can we agree that Mickey has the power? Rachel, of course, she knows. Of course she would know. And it appears that ADRIAN knows. I heard him mention something about her having the power. So that's a number of house guests knowing that she has this power. And, one of them is on the block. And so that's another factor that plays into this, whether ADRIAN wants to stay or not. Because, again, this is a season about Rachel. Same way season 25 was a season about Cirie. And so anything that, directly endangers her, like that's who they're going to try to get out of the house. And sometimes when you're watching the live feeds, you can forget that. Even somebody like me, I can forget it and be like, oh, I'm wondering how, this conversation is going to affect this vote or this decision. And then I just have to remind myself, oh, none of this matters because they're just going to do what Rachel wants, because that's what CBS paid her for to return for, not to get, made powerless. Even though, they could at least make it an interesting sort of WWE situation where, Rachel doesn't get what she wants, but she still gets what she wants in the next HOH, like one of her allies wins. Especially since a lot of these competitions have been not even competitive. They've been give-me's outside of the first HOH that Vince won, which, in that situation, it was still handicapped because only 4 people got to play. But anyway, speaking of that, Lauren and Kat, they had a conversation, and they basically both decided that they want Amy to go. And so, based on that, Lauren and Kat deciding, and we know Zach and Vince are decided, that's 4 votes. And we know that Kelly and Keanu wants Amy gone. That makes it 6. And if let's say Will's the one that gets himself off the block, as far as I know, he is committed to wanting to keep ADRIAN because he's a part of the Bond alliance with them. And so that would make 7. So they wouldn't even need the moron cowboy Riley they would have 7 votes based off of the 6 they already have, and then the 7 with the one coming off the block. Now, it's just a matter of whether these so-called men in the House kind of, force the issue if the scenario does come down with Adrian still being on the block next to Amy. But, Zach and Vince were doing a lot of talking. They both acknowledged what, people watching the show have acknowledged is that Morgan can be a little overbearing with pushing her agenda, especially when, one of her top arguments to get rid of Adrian is now, well, Adrian's competitor and he's a threat, so that's why he should go. But also, I want to bring Rachel into the jury. Which, again, if you were using the logic about wanting competitors out, then you would want Rachel out since, she is the person that won the game that's in the house. But yeah, Zach and Vince, believe it or not, they have, nice sort of reasonable, logical game talks. But I just always have to go back to the fact that these are two of the idiots that still want Rachel to be in jury. Because, well, she would make a good juror, even though you just go back to season 12 and see that, no, she doesn't. She was emotional when she was on that jury. Matter of fact, somebody made a clip, or not made a clip, but they found a clip highlighting her in jury and how she was towards the brigade and trying to downplay what they did that season. If anything, she was more about competition wins. But anyway, as I said, Zach and Vince, they pretty much want Adrian to stay, but Rachel doesn't. And ultimately that's what it comes down to. Rachel doesn't want it. And it's not that she's doing anything in that house to truly play anybody or manipulate anyone. I mean, because again, that could be used as a believable argument that goes away from accusing CBS of rigging. If you saw Rachel in the house actually having great social relationships, being very good at being a manipulator, but she's not. She's not. She spends most of her time attached to Amy, and if not attached to Amy and Ashley. And then she's always being combative and argumentative, mainly with the guys. And so you can't even use the argument that, oh, well, we can see on the feeds how well she's maneuvering socially. It's the same thing with Saray, who stayed in the bed all day. But despite that lack of effort or poor effort, people just magically wanted to work with them. And again, there's no magic behind it. It's clear as day. It's production. So, anyway, this today is the last full day of campaigning. We'll see what happens. Not that it actually even matters. Sad to say, but it's the truth.